How's it going, YouTube? My name is JVIT, and welcome back to another video inside Destiny 2, the final shape. And today we are back with it again with another tier list video. This time we're doing actually an updated version. Every single raid encounter from all the way from the original Vault of Glass raid, all the way to the Salvation's Edge raid in the final shape, aka Echoes. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Just so you guys know, I'm going to give a credit where credit is due. Whoever made this template right here on August 9th, 2 days ago actually, uh, nice job. You did really good at organizing all the encounters. But yeah, we're going to go over every single encounter. Now, if you guys don't know, S tier being is going to be the best. F is going to be the worst, of course. And so we're just going to go over every single raid encounter, and we're going to rank them from S to worst. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. If you guys are new to the channel, feel free to stick around and also subscribe to the channel if you're new. Also turn on notifications so you guys get notified for videos I make. But without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Alright, so we are starting off with Vault of Glass D1. Raise the Spire. From Vault of Glass D1, this one is okay. It's a C. Razor Spire is an OG. I wouldn't consider it an encounter. It's more like the opening entrance encounter to the Vault of Glass. This is where you have three groups of two to the left, middle, and right, just standing on plates, making sure the Praetorians do not get to the middle, and making sure they do not stand on the plate, or else that'll slowly take away progress from building the spire, which the spire in this case will unlock the Vault of Glass portal. So in this case, it's a very okay C tier. I would say it's a fine encounter, not terribly bad. Confluxes for D1. Um, it's another okay encounter. Um, although I find it um, a bit boring, just because you're literally just sitting around and killing enemies and keeping the minotaurs away from the confluxes. It's all right. It's an all right encounter. Confluxes is an okay encounter. It's just like the D2 version, but we'll go over that when we get to that part. So yeah, that's gonna be the Destiny 1 version of the Vault of Glass raid. So without further ado, let's go up to the next encounter. This is going to be Oracles from D1. Um, I'm not gonna lie, this is also kind of boring as well. Um, this is mainly because this is a longer encounter, more so like like 9 rounds long of Oracles, something like that. In the D1 version, it's actually a lot fun and easier. But yeah, Oracles, you're gonna be your spot in D. I'm sorry, my friend, but you're not as good as most of the good encounters in this raid, which we'll go over very soon. Of course, we have the first boss of the tier list, the Templar, Vault of Glass D1. It's a good encounter. I certainly like the Templar. Very fun encounter. Very fun. Um, the whole teleportation thing mechanic is interesting. The challenge is very nice. It's very easy, but the whole like challenge can be a bit messy if you're not careful, because if you're unlucky, you could get detained while you're doing this encounter and the challenge. So the challenge is you cannot let the Templar teleport, and if you have the shield, you could actually get suppression field. So that part kind of sucks, but other than that, it's a really decent encounter. Gatekeeper from D1. Um, Not gonna lie, not very challenging. All you're doing is opening up the portals, going in, grabbing the shield from both sides, and that's about it. And then you go to the middle, protect the conflux. So it's a fine encounter for the D1 version. Vault of Glass Atheon from the original D1. A tier for sure. I love Atheon. Atheon's rather cool. The whole like Oracle thing is a lot easier in that raid than right now in the D2 version, but we'll go over that when we get to that encounter. I certainly like Atheon times Conflux in the D1 version, but not as good as the D2 version. Next we have the Abyss encounter from Crota's End. This is the D1 version. Um, Pretty boring. So I'm gonna put that in F tier, mainly because all you're doing is just killing Thrall and just standing in lamps and getting your way of darkness out. It's not very hard at all. I know you could cheese this encounter, which yeah, it's a lot fun and easier. So I put it in a higher category, but I don't do that, and I don't know. It's just not very fun. I like more of a challenge to the raid encounters. The bridge encounter from D1 is it's also okay of an encounter. It's literally the exact same thing as the D2 version, except you got the Chalice of Light to deal with in the D2 version, which is it's actually more of a threat. So I'm just gonna give it a boring because it can get really boring after a while. But overall, it's not a terribly bad encounter. But yeah, that's the bridge. And you're just literally just standing on the plate. Two people left, people right. Keep it standing on the annihilator totem so they don't explode while you're opening the bridge. And that's the exact same. You get the sword, you go across, you kill the gatekeeper, and then it's just rinse and repeat until everyone makes it to the bridge. The Age of Triumph version, though, is actually makes it a bit harder, which I like that. But D2, I mean D2 version is much better than the D1 because it's more of a threat. Although this is one of the encounters where you can actually take your time on. The only thing that will kill you in this D1 version is the Annihilator Tome. If people don't pay attention to those Annihilator Tomes. Death Singers from Crota's, easiest encounter ever. It takes like less than like 2 minutes to complete. So it's a C. It's a fine encounter. Um, Kind of boring, but it's mainly just boring because it's just really easy. All you're doing is you're just going and killing a bunch of acolytes and knights. Go on the little throne room where Iriut is at. You're killing the shriekers from both sides, and then it's literally like a, the raise lighter sword from D1. It's literally like two swipes, and then she's dead. So it's really easy. I'm glad they made her health different in D2 to make her actually more of a boss fight. But D1 is okay. It's an okay encounter. We get to Crota, Son of Oryx. He is really easy. The Age of Triumph, I'll put him in a good tier mainly because the Age of Triumph is actually it's a bit nice with that challenge where everyone has to use a sword. You cannot have the same person do it twice. But the nice thing about it is that after all six players pick up a sword, it just rinse and repeats. So it goes back to it refreshes the challenge. Basically, it goes back to the first player after all six people use it. We have Crota, Son of Oryx. That's Crota. B tier is just fine, but when we wait until we get to the Crota's D2, that's gonna be better. We get to the Hall of Souls encounter. This is the first encounter. I guess you can call it an encounter from D1. Um, I think it's fine. It's fine. All you're doing is just picking up balls, and then you're just gonna be depositing at the same time with your buddy, and you're gonna do a countdown 3, 2, 1, dunk, and then you just do that 5 more times, and that's it. It's just really easy. Nothing too much to say about Whole Souls, but you just got other people ad clearing, and some of the jumps to get the orbs are a little bit annoying, but it's a fine encounter. Totems encounter. Hang on for 1 minute. We got the totems encounter from D1. Sorry about that, guys. This one is good. It is a little bit of a challenge. I certainly do like that you have to have the brand of the Weaver and Aura of the Unraveler to actually stay alive, or I think it's the other way around. Brand of the Unraveler. I don't know, but you take basically you're getting the brand Aura, whatever, going to the Annihilator Tomb before it explodes, and then the next person right next to you, the Aura switches to them, and that's when you get Death Singer's power. You take Death Singer's power times 10. You dunk it in the middle, and then you literally go back to your side and you get the aura again. It switches off, and then after you get the aura again, switches back to Death Singers, rinse, repeat, blah 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 blah. You get the idea. This one is okay. This isn't an okay encounter. Um, Not as good as the D2 version. Like I said, we'll get to these encounters very soon, guys. So just wait for that. I think totems for King's Fault can be a little bit boring after a while. The loot is okay. Midas Reckoning's a okay fusion rifle. You got the nice take and go shell from D1. Overall, not terribly bad. But yeah, that's gonna be the totems encounter for D1 King's Fall. We come to War Priest, where I actually like this encounter. This is a great encounter for D1. Um, it's very easy. It's very like fun. I just really enjoy it. It's an easy, fun encounter. War Priest, your A tier has been well earned. Don't have a problem with this encounter at all. It's very easy. But yeah, that's the War Priest. I certainly do like the War Priest encounter from D1. It's very fun, very easy, very relaxing. Come to Golgroth. Um, he's a good, not as good as the War Priest from D1, but I'll say he's just good. Actually, no, I find him to be actually quite fun. So let's put him in the A tier. Great encounter, great boss fight. Can be hard difficulty makes it more of a challenge, which I like. When we come to master difficulty, it's also more of a challenge too, which I like. We'll talk about that when we get there. But yeah, Golgoroth, you have a well-deserved A tier for great. You're a great encounter. Daughters of Oryx. I love being torn between dimensions, and the Daughters of Oryx are pretty cool boss fights. You're fighting one at a time. I like that. Um, I'd say you're a great encounter too. I like the original King's Fall one, the King's Fall from D1. Very fun. Pole jumping mechanic, and then it's really easy though. That's the thing. And I do like more of a challenge, but I do like the Daughters of Oryx. I like Oryx himself. They're really cool boss fights. We come to Oryx the Taken King, the D1 version, classic man, S tier for sure. Uh, I like the challenge where you have to get all 16 bombs. So you basically skip the first set of bombs until you get to the fourth round. And at that final round, you detonate all 16 bombs and you stagger Oryx. I like that. It's a very fun, easy encounter. The challenge is definitely more rewarding, especially when you get you have a chance of getting that legendary ship, the Agonarch card. I think that's what it was called. And then I can't remember if the Touch of Malice was for the harder difficulty. It might have been. I can't remember. But yeah, that's Oryx the Taken King for King's Fault D1. Now we come to my favorite raid of all time, Wrath of the Machine, which Bungie really needs to bring back. We're going to go over on a tier list for Wrath of the Machine. So we start off with Vosik Phase 1. Vosik's an amazing boss. Alright. Amazing. However, um, let's see here. Where should we put him? Vosik Phase 1. We're going to put you in a great tier. Only reason why I don't put him in S is mainly because there's a better encounter than Vosik. I definitely give him an S tier if he was the only boss in this raid, but obviously that wouldn't make any sense. Every boss has to at least have two bosses in it. Or every raid has to have two bosses in it. Sorry, I don't know what I was saying. Vosik Phase 1, you're basically just picking up the freaking light, the little light stuff, voltaic something. It's like some lightning stuff. And then you bank it in the middle, make sure those light eater whatever shanks don't eat it or whatever. I can't remember what they're called. It's been so long since I've done the raid, but definitely a good first opening encounter. You got the second phase of Vosik the Archpriest, where he's more of a challenge, and his white mechanic is absolutely incredible. I'm gonna put that in S tier for sure. But once I, like I said, there is a better boss fight than Vosik the Archpriest. You're basically just killing ads, watching monitors, shoot the monitors before they go off, or else see if a density critical will appear. You can shoot the monitors with some sniper rifles, which make it really easy to shoot. And you got the bombs. You throw the bombs. You throw all 6 bombs at the same time. You do damage to his shield, and then you do that 2 more times, and then his shield comes down. You do damage, and then that challenge I like because the challenge is where you got to take one of the cores and throw it at the door. You cannot just shoot the door. You have to throw the nukes at the door. That's why there's 2 of them. So 1 for 3 people on each side. But yeah, Vozic Arc Priest, you get a very well deserved S tier. You're very, very fun. We come to Siege Machine. Siege Machine is another amazing encounter. Let's put him. I'll put him in A tier, simply because it can be really hard when you're picking up the machines to bring it back to the Siege Machine before it explodes. That's the white mechanic. Basically, you have to be careful when you're picking them up. The things, little machine parts. You also have a timer, which I can't remember what it's called. It's like exhausted or something, where you cannot pick up another machine for that next time period. And it does make it more of a challenge. That's why you switch. You have people switch around picking up the machines until the white mechanic goes off. And I like it when the white mechanic does go off because it's harder to see where to place the parts. If you place the wrong part in, it's an immediate wipe. I do like that. I do like that. It's very fun. There's a lot of vandals, a lot of splinter mines on the ground to make it harder. But overall, it's a very fun Destiny 1 encounter. Alright, we come to my favorite encounter of the entire raid, Axis Phase 1. Axis the Archon Prime. Look at this. Oh no, I'm not putting you in trash. Hell no. Alright, you are going in an S tier. Axis Phase 1 is a very fun encounter. He is literally just the top half of his entire raid boss form. So you're literally just fighting his upper torso. Basically, what you're doing here, you're basically just killing. You're looking for the captains with the corresponding elemental scorch cannon, so like either solar void or arc. You shoot the corresponding elemental servitor with it. So if it's arc, it's going to go onto the arc servitor. Solar is going to go into solar. Void's going to go on void. You kill them. They drop a nuclear core on the ground or whatever, a bomb. You throw it at the little diamonds down here, and then it'll stun Tanix. So it goes like I think it's 3, 4, and then 7. You gotta throw 7 bombs on the third round, and you don't get very many time to do so, which makes it really cool. The music is amazing from the raid encounter. I certainly do like how it's more of a threat. But yeah, Axis Phase 1, S tier without a doubt. Axis Phase 2, now we're talking. Axis Phase 2 is the final encounter of the Wrath of Machine raid. I simply like this raid boss mainly because Fallen is my favorite race in D2, or not sorry, D1 or Destiny in general, and also because he's just a freaking Archon freaking priest, dude. Like, look at his body; it's just insane. He looks like a giant freaking spider. The music is good from this encounter. The mechanics are amazing. It's like Phase 1, but it's like more threatening. It's like more dramatic, I guess you could say. It's the same exact thing, but we were going to throw the cores at him instead of just the diamonds. Once you throw all, like, I think it's like 6. Throw 6 on hard mode at least. If it's on normal, I think it's 3. You stun his back, whoever has the empowered buff, and then you do damage to him 3 times, which the third phase is always the longest, which I like that, and it's a really fun encounter. This boss is very easy to cheese to. Well, I didn't say cheese, but easy to one phase with the swords and the whole whatever the type, the burning strike or whatever the heck it's called, melting point or tether, but that cancels out each other when you do that. So it's either one or the other. For in this case, I would rather use probably tether. I don't know. Castellum is the first encounter of the Leviathan raid. We're heading into the D2 raids now. This was released with the Destiny 2 game that released back in, I think it was September of 2017. Castellum is the opening encounter to all the 4 other raid encounters of the Leviathan raid. Castellum is good. It's not great, but it's good. It's a little boring. So, but the reason why I'm not putting it in other categories is because I like the look of the entrance with the gold and the Callus statue. You gotta take these staffs and put it on the correct uh, little door for the specific encounter. So like a chalice, you gotta look for dog. You gotta look for the dog stand, the sun stand, the axes stand, and if it's axes, you look for sun, cup, and dog. You get the idea. You're just looking for the other three. That's not the actual symbol for the next encounter. So Castellum is a very nice opening encounter. So I'll put it in a good tier. It's just the entrance, nothing too special. Royal pools. Um, hmm. This is a hard one. Royal pools is another good encounter. The only thing that I don't really like about the royal pools. I'm trying to think. It's been so long since I've done this raid. I have a vague memory, but those bathers hit really hard, I guess. And the I guess the plates could be a little buggy in the raid, where the little chain doesn't go down or whatever. But royal pools is just an okay. It's just a good encounter. It's not anything like Vozic or Arc or Axis, Archon Prime, any of those encounters. The Royal Pools, yeah, it's an okay encounter. It's just okay. We're gonna put in the good tier. I do like Leviathan. Royal Beasts. This is probably my favorite out of all of the encounters. The music is great. The mechanic is pretty good, but it's also kind of buggy. And you gotta be careful when you're jumping on the rocks because one of the beasts could see you jumping, which does trigger the wipe timer. So I'll put it in a great category. It's amazing encounter. Gauntlet. We have the gauntlet, all right. This is another amazing encounter. I'm gonna put this one. This one I like better than actually. Well, it's just as good as the Royal Beasts. I like both of them just as good. The only thing keeping this out of S tier, just like Royal Beasts, is it's just I just feel like it's a really buggy encounter. Sometimes the Gauntlet encounter, like the plate. I mean, the plate mechanic is it's not buggy. It's just really difficult and it's annoying where you gotta time your shooting because let's say if someone says top dog or whatever, you gotta hit the middle and the bottom, and it just makes it hard for the while the plate is moving up and down at times, but that's for prestige difficulty, I think. Actually, no, that's not for prestige difficulty. It's for both difficulties. And the challenge certainly is something. That's where everyone has to run, basically. Well, not everyone, but everyone has to choose every single plate, basically. And everyone has to run. So two people run the first round, two people run the second round, two people run the third round. That's all it is for the gauntlet encounter. Really fun encounter. And then you dunk the orbs as soon as you get to the finish line. Do that 3 times, and then you go back to the little finish line race game and pick up every single orb, and then dunk, and then you're done with the encounter. So really good encounter. We have Emperor Callus. Um, I certainly do like his raid form better than his Lightfall form because his Lightfall form is insanely easy, but we're not talking about campaign missions or anything. I'll put him in an S tier because he's like the best of the Leviathan raid bosses. This challenge is kind of a pain. You have to have everybody on a plate. You can't just have all 6 people on just one plate. You have to have like you can do like 2 people on the top left plate, 2 people on the top right, or you can do one person on the bottom left, one person on the bottom right. That's the challenge, at least I think. But he's not a horrible rating. That's why I put him in the S tier. He's an amazing raid boss, actually. Prestige does definitely make his raid a bit more threatening, a bit more hard. So I certainly do like Emperor Callus from the Leviathan raid. Hopefully they bring this raid back, man, because it's been like 4 years since they sunsetted this game, or sunsetted all the those raids. We come to my least favorite raid of the entire raid franchise. We have the Eater of Worlds plates, trash. I don't count this as a raid encounter whatsoever, especially the one after the plate part. All you're doing, you're just jumping plate to plate. It's really buggy, really messy. Wrong plate, and you can instantly fall into the water. The next encounter is just a patrol encounter. You're just killing ads. That's it for like 2 minutes, and then you're done. Very boring. I really wish there was a white mechanic or something to make it more hard. I don't like Eater of Worlds, guys. I'm sorry. I do not like Eater of Worlds. That's just my opinion. Cool enough, their raid team that did this raid was actually an LFG team. So I guess that's a little cool thing about it, but I still do not like this raid whatsoever. It's not a very good raid. Argos Phase 1 is also somewhat boring too. All you're doing is cooking the craniums. So you're taking the Vex craniums, you're gonna put it in the corresponding side, Void, Arc, or Solar, and you gotta shoot the corresponding elemental lines before they explode. That's the white mechanic, and it's just not very fun. It's way too easy, and the craniums only take like 20 seconds to cook. It's just not fun. It really isn't. And you're literally just reawakening the boss with all the mines. So it's not very fun. We come to Argos Phase 2. He is probably the best encounter of this entire raid, but he's just fine. He's not like anything too special. It's literally the exact same thing as Argos Phase 1. But he's a fine okay encounter, mainly because he's more threatening. He's got that white mechanic where he reads some void spike crap where you gotta shoot his crit spots, either the back of his head or his hands or underneath his body or whatever. But he's just an okay encounter. He's not anything too special. He's my least favorite of the raid bosses, probably. We come to probably the best of the Leviathan raids. We have the Spire of Stars raid, where yeah, this is much better. Spire of Stars, like the Brazier, is gonna go into the. It's like the worst of the three encounters of the Spire, so I'll definitely put it in the boring tier. It's just mainly because you're. Actually, I'll take that back. I'll put it in the C category because Spire of Stars is actually a good raid. It's not Eater of Worlds. You're picking up the orb from the statue, and then you're going counterclockwise or wherever it goes. And then when you fill up the ball, you're gonna get greed. If you get times 11, you die. Um, the cauldron opens up, and then you do that. I think it's like 3 times, and that's how you beat the encounter. So yeah, it's a very decent encounter. Nothing too special. We have the entrance to the boss of the Spire of Stars, Valkower. This is destroy the ships. I certainly like Valkower and the first encounter. This is going to go into an easy B tier. Same with Valkower, although I will put him in the A tier because he was actually a really hard boss. I like challenges, okay? And I do like the luxurious toast emote, the callous emote, very nice. And yeah, he's just a really cool raid boss. I really like his form. He looks like a giant, like I don't know. He's just a massive cabal. I like the callous statue mechanic. Very interesting. But this is like one of the hardest raids to LFG. You don't see a lot of people doing this raid, so that's why it's an underrated raid, I guess you could say. Then we come to the next raid. We have the Last Wish raid, and Last Wish is currently my favorite D2 raid. If Scourge was still a thing, that'd be my first favorite. But we have Kali the Corrupted. Um, she's a good encounter. We'll put her in the good tier. I do like the new symbols. You got the fish, the dragon, the snake, and the bird. But you start off, I think you only start off with the snakes in this encounter. But yeah, Kala the Corrupted is a very fair B tier. Sure, Chi the Corrupted, probably my least favorite of all the raid encounters, mainly because of her challenge. But I still like her compared to Callie, so I'll put her in a good B tier as well. She's just like Callie, but she's got more like harder mechanics above her. You got the crystals. You got to shoot the crystal in a triangle pattern to do damage, and then you just do that 6 times. Although in between, like a third of her damage and I guess 2/3 of her damage, you're doing puzzles. That can get really messy. You have to make sure no one steps in the same plate twice, or else you're kind of just like screwed. But it's really easy once you coordinate correctly and make sure everyone has chosen the correct plate and not the same plate twice. Um, yeah, so Shirochi, you're a good B tier as well. Morgan the Spire Keeper is also a B tier as well because he's just insanely easy. Taking strength just makes it so that his white mechanic goes faster. If nobody picks it up, make sure you pick up 2 at max. The only ones who shouldn't be picking up in the beginning is the ones who are cleansing because that's not good. Because basically the cleansers are taking the taken strength from the person who is, of course, trapped when they have 2 taken strength. But yeah, Morgoth is a really good encounter. The Vault encounter is an A tier. Let me explain why. Vault is like probably one of the most unique encounters. I like the idea of Antumbra and Penumbra. Antumbra being right, Penumbra being left, reading symbols. Okay, I got like bird swimming clockwise, or not bird, sorry, fish swim clockwise. Then that's your middle symbol. Someone else calls it either their right or left. It's the left symbol they have it on. That's Penumbra. Right side is Antumbra for that specific side, and the other person does the exact same after the person calls it their middle symbol. Excuse me. But Vault is just, I like the mechanics. It's easy. It's very relaxing. The music is amazing. It's fun. The whole running thing is also really fun too. Congrats to Sweatcicle for getting day 1. I know that was like, I don't know, like that was like 6 years ago. But yeah, congrats. That's amazing. Ribbon of 1,000 Voices, S tier for sure, dude. Season of the Wish was such an amazing season. Riven coming back from as a spirit is also really nice. We gotta get out the rest of her corrupted eggs to cleanse, so we get a Path to the Witness. I like her raid form, and I love her seasonal story form. I like how she kind of gets revenge on us after we killed her, as she rejected our offer to get to the witness. But yeah, Riven, you are an easy S tier. Amazing boss fight. Easy to cheese. I actually enjoyed Riven legit on Pantheon when that came out, so it's so really fun. It's really easy too. We got Queen's Walk, aka the Heart of Riven. Kind of messy, but really good. The music is catchy. You're actually inside the heart of Riven, and if you were to look up, you can actually see the player's like hands or whatever moving with the orb. I guess it's a little trivia you guys didn't know about. But yeah, Heart of Riven Queen's Walk is like the ending encounter of the raid. You dunk the heart at the end of where before the vault encounter with all the statues. It's like right behind it. There's like a little bowl you dunk in. That's how you complete the encounter. So Heart of Riven, Last Wish, you're an amazing raid. S tier without a doubt. Coming to my favorite D2 raid, if it wasn't sunsetted, is the Scourge of the Past, Berserkers. You're in Last City. I love a Last City raid, and I love the Scourge of the Past raid. So instantly A tier for Berserkers, because there's a better encounters than the Berserkers encounter. It's just Berserkers is more of the opening encounter of the raid. You're killing the Berserkers. You're dunking the little charge into the thing that shows up on the map. You got like Wrath of the Machine style timers on the side, which will wipe you if you don't make it in time. And then you're calling out the 2 players who have the orbs that drop from the correct Berserker to dunk at either 1 through 5, and then 5 being near the map. You get the idea. It's like a giant map basically, west, south, or north and east. But yeah, Berserkers easily A tier for sure. Ablaze Glory is I guess you can say the jumping puzzle encounter of the raid. This is where you're on your Sparrow. You're jumping away from you're running away from the Flaming Servitor, which is actually I think supposed to be Insurrection Prime, although No, that's Insurrection Prime. I think Insurrection Prime is the just the giant mech. He's just a servitor. But yeah, Blaze Glory, you're gonna go into A tier mainly because of the Sparrow racing part is really fun, very terrifying. Um, 1 minute you seem like you're going really fast, and if you slow down for like a few seconds, that servitor will be like up your butt in like 3 seconds. So you really gotta be fast with that one. I certainly do love the always on time Sparrow until they did change Sparrows out, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's a really good encounter. Come to Insurrection Prime Phase 1. Not as good as 2, but you're still going in S2 just because I love the final boss. I certainly do love the look of the whole, like, Call of Duty looking destroyed town looking map layout. How it looks like, it just looks like deserted town. You're basically just reawakening the boss. You basically have players go in, grab the correct radiances. I can't remember; it's been too long. So, like for example, triangle gets triangle, square gets square, circle gets circle. It's been too long, and then you use those on a Drake or something, and then you shoot the boss with the Drake, and that eventually kills it. Instruction Prime Phase 2. Now we're talking. This is like this is literally the best encounter of the raid. Um, just giant mech, man. He's easy to kill. Anarchy is definitely a highlight of this raid. Excuse me. Um, yeah, Surge of the Past, amazing raid, amazing boss fight. It's just like Phase 1, similar to Phase 1, but you got the hollow map to deal with. You gotta find the same berserkers. You dunk the orbs into the machines to summon the Drake. You damage him with the Drake after all his shields have been destroyed. And then you just start killing him. I do like the whole like flashbang mechanic where he sends a flashbang in the air where you got step in the right side, radiances, angular being right. I forgot what the other one was called. Anyone wants to let me know in the comments down below, just let me know because I can't remember. It's been too long. I remember angular. It said. All right, we're like, I guess you could say like halfway through with all the raids. Just check. All right. We come to the next encounters. We are starting off with Crown of Sorrow. We have the Hive Ritual. Great opening encounter, but also somewhat boring, mainly because of how long it takes to actually finish it. You're having people with Witch's Blessing, and the ones who don't have Witch's Blessing. The ones with Witch's Blessing, I think, kill the Thrall, while the others kill the Ogres. It's been too long. But you're swapping the buff because the Witch's Blessing is a like mini white mechanic, and then you got the crystals. One person of each buff needs to kill it. So one without Witch's Blessing, one with, and it's a nice concept, but it's also somewhat boring and long. But I'll put it in a good tier mainly because it's a nice encounter to teach. It's got a bit of a challenge to it. Alright. Oh my gosh, sorry, I'm just so tired today. What? Okay, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Let's see here. Next encounter, we're gonna head on to Crown of Sorrow, infiltrating the Kingdom of Sorrow. This is just like the jumping puzzle before Gallant's Deception. We'll put this one in a fine tier. It's just a little messy. I wouldn't consider it an encounter. It's just a jumping puzzle, but it's just fine. Fine encounter. Infiltrating the Crown of Sorrow. You're gonna go into the C tier. Gallant's Deception. This is like one of the hardest raids to actually do. It's hard to teach, but it's also kind of fun. Gallant's Deception is a tier. I certainly like fighting him. You have to have the 3 people with Witch's Blessing and also 3 people without it. And it does get removed after you use it on the boss at the same time. And you do damage, it's kind of well, it's I guess you could say stuns him. I think it stuns him. I can't remember. Or that's probably for the next encounter. I can't remember. Yeah, it's probably for this encounter and the third encounter. But yeah, Galvan Deception is a very fair A tier. Galvan the Sorrow Bearer is a massive dude. I like his look. How the Crown of Sorrow was actually a raid, and it makes a comeback and like the Presage or the Presage, whatever it's called, mission. But I'll put you on the S tier. It's like Galvan's Deception, but you got more mechanics to do. You gotta switch the Witch's Blessing out once in a while with the orbs. It's the same thing as Galron, but it's longer and it's just more dangerous, I guess. If you're not paying attention to your witch's curse buff, then you'll die. So we come to another raid, a raid I actually enjoy Sherpa. I have like 80 Sherpas in this, so if you guys need divinity, comment down below. We have the very first encounter. This is Evade the Consecrated Mind. This is now we're gonna go over. Yeah, this is the first encounter of the raid Evade the Consecrated Mind. This is where you are basically avoiding the Consecrated Mind's wipe mechanic, where it's the Voltaic Overflow. If nobody picks it up in 5 seconds, it wipes you. If you pick it up, it's a 2-minute, 30-second debuff that only kills you if you pick up a second stack. So it's just like taking Strength, but instead of picking up 2 taking Strength, you must pick up only 1 Voltaic Overflow, or else the second one will kill you until that timer goes down. And the taking Strength does not have a timer. Well, I guess it kind of does, but it's not how you think it is. It only disappears after a certain thing has been like prompted or whatever. First encounter is good. It's easy. It's fun. The challenge is something. It's nice. Some of the Consecrated Mind is also really good too. Same with the Consecrated Mind himself. Second encounter, I certainly do like the idea of having the runners run back and forth, making sure they all get enlightened so they can. It's just like confluxes from Destiny, from Bolt of Glass. Making sure no ads come to the towers. Make sure you're killing them with the enlightened buff so they don't sacrifice. And then you're killing the Angelics, killing all 12 of them, 3 on each side, will trigger the door to open where everyone goes to the middle. It does the exact same thing. Overall, it's a really nice and fun raid encounter. And the Consecrated Mind boss himself is very fun, but he's really buggy sometimes with the damage phase. You can use Nova Bomb on him, and he'll go just like flying in like the other direction. And it's like, it just gets really buggy. So I still enjoy him as a boss fight. I like using Div on him. Uh, but overall, I say he's a good A tier. Nothing. He's not a horrible raid boss. He's a very fun raid boss actually. Overall, you have a very well A tier position. Sanctified Mind on the other hand, amazing raid encounter, damage output or whatever. It kind of sucks nowadays, especially with the like. Don't even use Div because the Div bubble appears like right under him, which doesn't do anything. And overall, he's just a really good raid boss still though. I like the whole mechanic with the modes team, picking up modes, going inside. Well, it's the same thing for Consecrate Mode, but you're actually going inside portals to pick up the modes, 15 to 18. Team 1 does them, then Team 2 does it, and then they do the exact same thing for his other side, the Orange Island. Pick up 30 modes, wipe the damage phase, connecting the right tether box to the tether, or else if you connect the wrong one, it's an immediate wipe. So forth and so on, you do damage, although best damage for him, I'd say, is probably snipers and probably linears. Divinity doesn't work. Xenophage might work, but I wouldn't hold on it too much. But yeah, that's the guard raid. The next raid we didn't get until November of 2020, which is like another year. Usually we get a raid every single year, so we're gonna start off with Deepstone Crypt.
It's a crypt security. Now, I said before that this was like one of my favorite raids back then. I will admit this is an amazing raid, but it's not as good as Last Wish. I love Fallen and all, but that's where Wrath of the Machine comes in. Crypt security. Let's put you in an A tier. Basically, what you're doing is you're for the operator. They're going downstairs. Scanner calls out on dark side and light side on which of the 5 panels on each side to hit. 2 of them for each side to be specific, so the operator shooting 4 panels in total. In this case, after 4 panels have been shot, operator from downstairs sends up the operator, making sure all the servitors are dead from upstairs, or also the augment will be deactivated. And then the terminal will be deactivated. Sorry, not the augment. That's not until later on. And then person grabs operator. They're going to do operator next. They send out scanner. Scanner calls out the fuse side, either dark left, dark middle, dark right, or light left, light middle, and light right. And you can easily one phase the encounter if you're fast in the callouts and you're coordinated with your team using the right weapons like Xenophage or Bastion. It works really well. HX1 Fallen Exo, literally my favorite encounter of the raid. Um, I guess the only thing that's holding it back from being a good raid is they nerfed Lament, and Lament was literally the highlight of that raid because it just fucked up the boss. Honestly, it was just amazing against the boss. Really easy, really fun. Atrix 1, you belong in the S tier without a doubt. You're one. I love Fallen and I love Atrix 1's look, like a mechanical looking, just like robot exo. Overall, very fun, very easy encounter. Challenge is also really fun too, where you can't dunk any of the replication copies into the airlocks. I like that. Descent is another S tier because I like the whole idea of us crashing down into Europa or preventing the nuclear descent protocol by dunking in nuclear cores 6 times for 6 rounds. Also trying to suppress Tanics so we can put them in, scan the correct little dunking spots, and then operators just shooting a panel. Literally just really easy. So yeah, descent you're gonna be in the S tier. Tanks the Abomination is a good tier. Let me explain why. This encounter is somewhat boring. Having to fight Tanks like the millionth time it's nice. I will admit I like Tanks, but seeing him as a raid boss is even cooler. The only thing that kind of sucks about this encounter is the timing between operator and suppressor. For example, you could easily screw up on this encounter if you're not careful, where you could have it so the if the operator shoots the first bubble and the suppressor finishes, then the operator could get deactivated before he shoots the second bubble, which that's what keeps the players from moving to their corresponding dunking positions for the nuclear cores. That's the only thing I really don't like about this encounter is the timing, but that's just me. Damage phase is good. Div still works on this boss. Xenophage works. Actually, I'll be nice and give it an A tier. Still not as good as these guys up here. So yeah, Tanks, you're gonna go into A tier. We got Vault of Glass D2. So Raise the Spire is better than is the exact same thing as the Vault of Glass. So I'm not gonna put anything higher because it is a bit better. Well, actually, no, it's the same. Actually, it's the exact same thing. So there's nothing really much to talk about. Confluxes, same exact thing. Except you have the only thing that's changing is the wyverns get replaced, or no, not the sorry, the minotaurs get replaced with wyverns, which makes it more of a threat. So yeah, that's a D tier. It's just as good as the regular complexes. I guess you could say it's a bit better. Oracles, on the other hand, I like this one better. I will be nice and give this one a C tier. mainly because it's shorter, and I like the color of the oracles better than the yellow ones. The blue ones are just a nice, like a nice amount of like lightness. The yellow ones are like too bright almost. But yeah, C tier is perfect for oracles from D2. Templar from D2, exact same thing as D1. Nothing too much else. Sorry that my Xbox is just going off. Nothing else too much to say about the D2 version. This is the exact same thing as the D1. We'll put the Templar in good tier. Gatekeeper, on the other hand, I like this encounter the most. Probably my favorite encounter of the Vaulted Blast raid. Um, it's actually harder and it takes longer to complete. I will put this one in a very solid A tier. Basically, the only difference here is when you're opening the portals, you have to have one person go on each of the portals. One person calls up which side has a Minotaur, either Mars or Venus. The other person who doesn't have a Minotaur is going to have a Wyvern, and it's basically just going to switch back and forth after that. And then the guy comes in with the shield. I like the whole teleport destabilization mechanic where you can't go in. So if you have the shield, if you want to try to get out when you accidentally go into the portal, you can't. You have to, that's why I got to drop the shield for the person who is inside. And when they get out, you have to take that shield and bring it over to the other side so someone from that side grabs the shield and go into that specific side. What I just said may sound confusing, but overall, Gatekeeper is a amazing encounter. Putting in that A tier, it's harder and it's just more fun. Atheon's Time Conflux. This is like almost the exact same thing as Atheon. I like Atheon a lot. Almost the exact same thing as the. Sorry, I cannot speak today. From Atheon D1. This one's better though because Oracle's callouts are fun, funner to call out. I guess you could say. Back left, back middle, back right, front left, front middle, front right, and then three people that get teleported inside, they grab their shield. I mean, it's similar. It's like the exact same thing as ATM from D1, but the only thing I like about it is it's just a fun, more fun and harder, I guess, challenging encounter. Because then when you get outside after you do the 3 rounds of oracles, there's 3 rounds now instead of just one massive like round. Atheon will open up his hand and he'll start giving everyone imminent detain, which is just like a suppression field for everybody. And if everyone gets detained, then you're basically screwed because there's no way to get out of that, and you'll eventually die from the suppression field. So I love Atheon from D1. Val the Disciple will become the Val the Disciple next. We're almost done with raids. I think we got like 4 more left. Okay, acquisition. A tier. 26 symbols, 3 obelisks. You are calling out the symbol. You're looking at your totem. The first symbol calls out word take a night of that traveler pyramid, kill it. Second symbol calls out which room to go in. You go into that room. Third symbol calls out which cliff keeper to kill, light or dark. You get a symbol. You do that 2 more times. You get 3 symbols out of the 26. You look for the corresponding obelisk to shoot those 3 symbols at the same time. So if it's left, you go to the left side. All 3 symbols are on the left side. You shoot all 3 of the symbols at the same time with everyone else. 3, 2, 1, shoot. And it's just rinse repeat 2 more times. I like that. And it's just overall a really fun encounter. Caretaker. Uh, my least. No, he's not my least favorite anymore. He used to be. He was more so boring. Um, but I love this boss. I'm gonna give him an S tier. I think previously I gave him like a B tier. But I found him very fun. Very fun to teach, very fun to run, stun, and I guess ag clear. Very fun to get the 2 floor actually. You could definitely 1 floor this boss, but it's harder. I mean, I'm sure I think I've seen people do it. A caretaker, very solid boss. I like the whole abomination scorn hive mix, almost like similar to Galrun, where he's Cabal and Hive. But yeah, that's Caretaker. Upended is probably my least favorite encounter of the raid. It's I'll still give it an A tier because I love Val the Disciple. It's mainly because it's a mess. You have to have coordination. You have to have coordination and comms active at all times during the raid encounter, and it's just really messy. If you fall off the cliff in like the third or fourth room, then it's pretty much game over. You just gotta be like really fast at killing everything. You only have like a minute and 14 to kind of kill everything until you refresh the timer with the pyramid nut by shooting at the taken knight, and then yeah, it just gets messy, and you gotta correspond with your team on which side they go on, and yeah, it's just messy. It's just really messy. But once you get the hang of it, it's not terribly difficult. But yeah, that's third encounter. That's the upended, aka exhibition. Rolk is literally the best encounter of the Vow of the Disciple raid. I like how we're fighting a species from a different type of species. The only species actually. Well, he's the only one that left of that specific species, which he's a Lubrian. Which yeah, it'd be amazing if we could go to Lubre, but that's impossible because he destroyed it. It'd be kind of cool. But there, people Destiny's hinting about something about Lubre returning. I don't know how accurate that is. There's like no way it could return because I don't know. It's just not possible. So Rolk, you're literally the highlight of the raid. You deserve your very well deserved S tier raid encounter. Um, okay, we are on to King's Fall version 2. Hall of Souls, nothing really changed about this one. It's the exact same thing as the D1 version, so it's okay. It's fine. Totems is actually harder, and I like harder encounters, and I like harder raids. You are going in. Where did I put you last time? I put you in the C tier. Well, the only difference here is the aura of the Unraveler and the Brand of the Weaver is an actual white mechanic for the individual player if they do not get the brand claimer from person with the person with the brand claimer when they're coming back in time. They will die, and then it's gonna be messy where the person needs to revive them. They gotta go all the way back to get the brand. It gets messy because if that person stays for too long with the brand claimer, it'll disappear. They will die, and then that's just gonna get messy. It's gonna wipe, and then you gotta retry all over again. So yeah, but I do like the D2 version better than the D1 for sure because it's more hard. It's more of a challenge. Everything kills hard. Just really easy. War Priest. I'll be honest with you. I don't like this encounter. Probably my least favorite of the King's Fall raid. Hmm. Well, let's. Where did I put you before? I put you A tier. I'll, he's good. He's not as good as the War Priest from D1. D1 version was a piece of cake. You know how I say I like challenging encounters? Well, the War Priest is not really an exception for me because in this one, the whole play mechanic can get really messy. You have to have the middle stand on it first, and then he has to get off. He has to call out which side needs to get on first. Left side, for example, gets on first, then middle, then right. If you stand on the play twice incorrectly, then it's just an immediate wipe, and then you got the whole brand claimer from the aura crap, and then the whole brand. If you're not calling out it in the correct timing, it could kill you, and then that's just an easy like mess up on a damage phase, and then you gotta try again. And yeah, it's not fun. It's still good though. It's still a good encounter. It's just my least favorite of the four, even of the five encounters, whatever. I think there's like six encounters in this raid. But yeah, that's Warbrief. We come to Golgoroth. Golgoroth is almost the exact same thing as Golgoroth from D1. The only difference, I guess I could say, well, no, there's not really a difference at all. It's just like the exact same boss. There's nothing. Okay, I guess there is a small difference. The only difference here is you can't start damage early on the boss. You can't shoot his crit spot, try to cheese him, try to get him down with really, really low health, finish him off. So yeah, I do like that part. You can't just cheese the boss, makes it 20 times easier than the regular one. That's not how it works. Um, Actually, Golgroth. I like Golgroth. I like the King's Fall Raid. I like this encounter. It's a very fun boss to fight. Whisper of the Worm is amazing. Still Hunt's pretty good. Snipers, Linears. Izanagi's is actually probably really good for that encounter too. But yeah, that's Golgroth. Really easy, really fun. Daughters of Oryx. I like their new mechanic with the plates where instead of jumping on all three of the plates except for one with the orb in the sky, you have to jump on the only two plates. So you have to jump on the starting plate, which glows green with the 9 on top of it. Let's say it's L1, and then they gotta look for the orb on the other side. Then the person has to stand on that plate with the orb above it. So it's only two people jumping on plates instead of just three, technically. Well, technically four because you have the guy torn between dimensions, and then you gotta hit the you gotta hit the no, you gotta do it three times. You gotta take the brand and then hit it on the correct one. You gotta hit it on the one that's not shooting. I'm pretty sure, and then you have to kill it because if you don't, then if you hit the wrong one, then it's just gonna wipe it, and that's not good. Yeah, Oryx the Taken King from King's Fall D2. This one is certainly. I actually enjoy this one more than the D2 version, D1 version actually. He's more of an actual boss fight you can actually fight instead of just nuking bombs and stuff. So the bomb nuke is just to open it to keep him stunned, I guess. But yeah, I certainly do like this new Oryx version. Very, very nice and very, very fun. We're almost there. So that's Oryx from D2. Um, Amazing encounter, amazing upgrade to the original. You belong in a very fair S tier. Coming to Crota's End now. This is another way I enjoy Sherpa. Abyss. It's better than the original. I will say that. So I'm gonna give it a good tier. I like the whole pendulum, like the whole like it's almost like a giant obstacle course. You got pendulums in the way. You got holes in the way. I mean, the holes were originally in the D1 version, but the pendulums are more of a threat. The chalice of light is also a threat too. If it's full, you have to make sure someone takes it off you before you die. That can get messy sometimes. Overall, it's a very fun B tier encounter. Abyss Defiant, not Abyss Defiant, Abyss Encounter, you are a well deserved B tier. There you go. Bridge Encounter, I love this one better than the original Bridge, actually. Um, well, it's the exact same thing. The only thing is I'll give it a C tier. No, actually, no. This is my favorite encounter of the raid. Actually, at least, yeah. This is Bridge is like one of my favorites. I'll give it an A tier. um, it's the exact same thing except when you're picking up the sword from the sword bearer, you have to have it land. Pretty much everyone has to have it land, but the first person who gets the inline needs to inline the bridge so it stays up, and then it constructs the bridge, and then he gets the last one for the inline so he can go across with the chalice and bank the chalice. So that's the bridge version of Crota. D2. Death Singer, like I mentioned before, I like how she's an actual boss fight. She's more of a threat. We'll put her in that well-deserved A tier. That's where she belongs, anyway. Um, more of a harder fight. New mechanic, I guess you could say, is the witches. You need to call out which tower has the witches. Either top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. spawn middle, spawn left, and spawn right. There's a lot of call outs. You got for the first round, you look for 3, and if you don't get into a 1 phase, you look for 4, and if you get down to a 3rd phase, you look for 5, and that's where her enrage comes in after that last round. So you really gotta get rid of her before that goes off. But yeah, overall, her raid, her encounter is pretty darn fun. Crota himself, better than regular Crota from day one. Actually, he's a harder boss. The whole challenge encounter challenge for actually no the challenge one for all can be tough. Sometimes you have to get rid of his shield within 3 seconds. I like that. Yeah, he's just more of a harder boss fight, and I like that. You get 2 people with swords instead of 1. And then the third person gets the Enlighten for the Oversoul, because you can only shoot the Oversoul with Enlighten, and this is pretty much like everything else that requires Enlightened. I like that whole Enlightened encounter. It's very fun, very easy. Yeah, Crota, you are in an S tier rank. You deserve your S tier. We come to Root of Nightmares now. Cataclysm. Um, it's good. Nothing too special. I do like the whole mechanic with the light orb, the flux of darkness, and I forget what the light one's called. Field of light. That's what it is. You take it, you follow where it goes to the next seed. You hit that seed, go back to the same orb, then hit the next seed after the one you just hit before. Rinse and repeat until you get to the end of the flower, the final flower in the back, where near Nezarek's sarcophagus, and then you do that 3 times. The whole Tormentor mechanic, where if you kill Tormentor, it refreshes your timer. I do like that mechanic, but overall, it can get boring after a while if you're stuck on it for too long. But yeah, B tier is where we'll be in. Scission, another B tier. It's like Cataclysm, but you got an additional orb to deal with, which is the Flux of Darkness. Instead, you're going diagonal this time, back and forth, and then you're hitting your own, then going diagonal. Hitting your own again, going diagonal, hitting your own side again, going diagonal. And you do that 2 more times for the other 2 rooms. Macrocosm. It's actually the best rating counter of this. I actually love planets, and I love. Let me put that in S tier. No, not usage. Sorry. Excuse me. I like the planets mechanic. This boss is really going to be a giant scion, believe it or not. Uh, Odzot. Actually, no, I don't think it was going to be Odzot. It was just going to be a scion. Um, Incendiary is not terribly bad of a boss fight, though. It would have been interesting to have a Scion of the boss, though, because we never had a Scion raid boss. And of course, we never had an Incendiary. Well, I guess you can count Valkower as one, but yeah, that's Marco Cosmo. I like the planet mechanics. The white mechanic is absolutely beautiful, too. But yeah, Macrocosm, you deserve your very well S tier. Nezrak is a C tier. Um, it's it's disappointing. It's just like the first encounter, except and he's not. He's just like a disappointing great boss. I guess the only good thing about that encounter is the conditional finality shotgun. That's pretty much it. And he's just easy to take out. Not very hard at all. But yeah, that's Nazarek. Nothing too much else to say. It's just like the second encounter and the first. The whole same mechanic all over again. They could have done something different, but no. All right, moment you guys all been waiting for. We got every single raid. There's one more though. Saving the best for last. Salvation's Edge. This is released 3 days actually after the final ship's release, which, yeah, you don't get a lot of time, but you do get a decent amount of time to the point where you can actually survive and hold your own in the raid. So yeah, definitely Definitely nice. So let's start off with the first encounter, Substratum. Substratum is a very map layout confusing encounter. There's a lot of rooms, and you gotta. I'm not gonna explain the mechanics because I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys. Because if whoever hasn't played this raid yet, it's just confusing. You do get resonances in this. I'm not gonna spoil much, but Substratum, it's a really good encounter. All of them are really good except the second encounter. Let's put. I'm sure this is tough. Substratum. It's confusing, but it's also interesting of the new mechanics with the plates and stuff. I'll put Substratum in A tier. It's a good rate. It's a good rating count. Herald of Finality, B tier. I'm not spoiling much about these rating counters. If you guys haven't played the raid, you definitely should. He's basically just a taken version of Tanix, which how many times are we gonna have Tanix come back as a boss? Like it's happened so many times to the point like I don't even care anymore. Bring back Tanix in the Frontiers expansion if you want to. I don't care. But yeah, it definitely is a somewhat hard boss, especially for that annoying ass challenge. Which I'm not spoiling anything for you, so if you guys want to do a raid on, if you guys want to do some Sherpas or anything with this raid, comment down below and let me know. Repository is another somewhat confusing encounter, but it's also a good encounter. A tier without a doubt. This is just because of that 1/3 room. The I know it's the closers that switch, but if you don't know where to go, then it's just gonna get messy, and you gotta pick up one symbol for the third room. You don't need to pick up three, or you can play it safe if you want. The only people who should pick up three are the senders, I guess. And then from there, you close the certain symbol on your little conduit. It has to be the correct symbol, or else you wipe. It's a very funny game. It's just like the last two, except you got three symbols. For the second one, it was two, and the first one was one. Verity is my favorite encounter of the Salvation's Edge raid. It's amazing. It's fun. I love the idea of dissecting. I love geometry. It's an interesting mechanic to add for the geometry thing. It's really hard too if you don't know how to dissect. But once you understand how it works, it's not terribly difficult. Um, all you're doing for dissecting, let's say it's circle, square, and triangle. You're basically getting rid of that specific shape. So on circle, you need triangle and square. On square, you need triangle and circle, and on triangle, you need circle and square. You're basically getting rid of the shape, and you're switching it off to the other shapes. And from there, you're going to be making. I was about to say 3D shapes. You're going to be making two. I guess you could say, yeah, you're going to make 2D shapes. So, for example, if it's circle, square, and triangle, you need to make a prism on circle because you can't have any shapes that have a circle on it. On square, you need to make a cone. And on triangle, you need to make a cylinder. It's that easy. After you dissect those on those three shapes, then the players who are inside can get out after they distributed their shapes, and they can get out of the glass window that appears right behind them. They'll shake, and that's their cue to get out of there. That's very fun encounter. S tier for sure. Final encounter, guys. The one who caused it all, the witness. S tier without a doubt. Love his design. He's freaking massive. He's like 3 times the size of Oryx. Um, he's just massive, dude. Like he is the tower. He's literally the giant monolith. He's just massive. I I like Verity more than this guy. I still don't understand how the witness running part works. I mean, I kind of do. You just gotta be insanely fast with shooting his hands. But I definitely do need to learn that one of these days. But yeah, Witness, S tier for sure. Love his entire mechanic. I love his final stand. I love like how he gets angry when you defeat him, and then you fight him in Excision, and that finishes off the Light and Dark story. Good ending to the entire Destiny 1 franchise. I'm really excited to know what's going to happen in the next story. But other than that, that is the entire tier list done. If you guys have any opinions on your own, please let me know in the comments down below. If there's anything I should point out, let me know in the comments down below. But other than that, that's going to bring us to the end of this video. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this entire video. Comment down below on what your favorite rating counter is, and if I should do another a tier list on some other stuff. Other than that, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. And as always, my name is JVIT, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone. Bye.